Welcome to On the Go with Selaco, the podcast where we introduce tips and techniques for job seekers in Southeast LA. Enjoy the episode.
Greetings, listening world, and welcome to On the Go with Selaco, and today's episode, How to Work a Room. We're your hosts, Margene Clements and Tammy Ferranti Lansdowne, hope to continue our fun-filled conversation and lead you step by step on working the network obstacle course, when sometimes you really don't want to. Margene, what are your first thoughts when you hear networking event?
Well, Tammy, I might be aging myself, but I have to remind myself that it is not the one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Is it risky? Not really. No one's going to get hurt. Is it scary? Sure, sometimes. But nothing fatal will come of it. In fact, something good might come of it. Do I need to do some self-talk? Oh, yes. Telling myself to just do it is probably my best self-talk.
That's great. You know, I like to look at the time and tell myself something like, in 1 hour, I will have met at least 10 new people, and several of those people will be strong contacts. Let's find who I can help. I set a positive expectation for myself. So tell me, what do you do to talk yourself into it?
You know, Tammy, sometimes it's not so much as talking myself into it, but it's constantly preparing myself. I work on improving my conversation skills by reading the newspaper, even if it's just headlines. And I definitely look at the business section, and I even look at the sports pages. I actually even go and watch sports.
Wow.
So that I can talk about who won last night and how this player did or how that player didn't, and sound somewhat intelligent about it.
Great idea.
Yeah, it kind of works. It actually does. I collect articles, too, that are relevant to my industry, my profession, as well as other industries and other professions as well, so that I can, especially if somebody's talking to me about something, I actually can have a response that might sound somewhat intelligent. And in any situation, I have taught myself to listen actively. I taught myself to really hear what people are saying and be able to ask questions that are pertinent to their conversation, and to also ask for clarification when I don't understand. So when I've prepared these things ahead of time and thought about that all ahead of time and constantly work at it, it really helps me talk myself into going because I feel prepared.
Yes, having conversation starters in your back pocket does sound like a very good way to prepare yourself and to also calm any anxiety about what to talk about. But wow, that sure seems like a lot of work.
It definitely is, but it's worth it, especially when you're in job search. You've got to do all that prep work. And when you're in a profession where networking and building relationships and partnerships is key, it is definitely worth the work that goes into it. Some things I do in advance that are fun are read up on other people's opening lines. Even something as simple as, how did you hear about this event? Did you catch the game last night? It's a classic, but it's a classic for a reason,
right.
And that's why I go watch sports. If you're in the food line, you can just say something as simple as, oh man, everything looks so good. I'm not sure what to get. What are you thinking about eating? You can even look up jokes to tell. That takes quite a bit of time, but again, it's worth it, especially if you're somebody like me who's not a joke teller. But you can kind of look them up, memorize them, and if you have enough in your back pocket, you can pull them out when you need them.
Right.
But remember, AT&T, appropriate, tasteful, and timely.
Oh, I like that. Appropriate, tasteful, and timely. That's very good advice. Do you have any particular networking strategies that you like to use?
Yes, just some thoughts to keep in mind while you're getting ready again, before you even attend the event. Kind of talk with yourself about making sure that you keep a positive attitude, that you're going to show enthusiasm, and you're going to be energetic. Focus on the benefits of networking. You get to meet new people. You can have some great conversations, and you will probably always learn something new. Pay attention to and prepare your introduction. Make sure it's only 10 seconds long. Be sure to look at people in the eye. Practice that when you're just in normal situations. Make sure you speak clearly. There would be nothing worse than to say your name to somebody and they not remember it because you didn't say it clearly.
Right.
And also show a lot of warmth and interest in other people. And those are things that you can practice ahead of time in every situation you're in. Make sure you have your business cards. This is one of my worst habits.
Oh.
Really. I know it's terrible. I attend so many meetings and I continually forget to replenish my cards. And you should see me sometimes digging around in my purse, hoping that there's just one down in the bottom. Yes. And remember the small talk and your preparation for it. A phrase I like is interest, amuse, and light 'em up. And then, if you have to, practice smiling so that you always have a smile on your face. And last, how's your handshake? Practice that too.
Definitely. So here you are, outside of the event. You take a deep breath and tell yourself, I've got this. You open up the doors and hit the room. What do you do first?
Well, after that big deep breath, you look around the room, you scope it out, and that can be kind of fun, just kind of checking the room out and see who's there. Really, look for people that are alone. If they're alone, they might just be in the same situation you're in, kind of scared, not knowing what to do. And so engage them in a conversation. It'll make you feel really good too. A good idea is always to sit with people you don't know. That's what you're there for.
Right.
It's to get to know new people.
Exactly.
So position yourself to sit with people you don't know. And then pay attention to everyone. If you're sitting at a table of 4 or 5 people, pay attention to each and every one of them. Don't just focus on one. Don't ignore anyone. And it'll make you very comfortable. It'll make you also very popular at the table. You just never know.
Okay, good. So you've looked around the room, found people to sit with. Now what?
Smile.
Smile. Okay.
A simple smile and a simple hello will go a long way. Better than sitting at the table and just sitting there and not saying hello to everyone. I've seen that happen before.
Oh, right.
And the other thing is that not only makes you feel uncomfortable, it makes everybody else feel comfortable. So by a simple hello to everyone at the table and putting out your hand to shake if it works, if the situation lends itself to that. Just a simple hello and, putting out your hand to shake them and introduce yourself. You can start, with the food about, when you're thinking of, okay, what comes after the simple hello?
Yes.
You can just start with maybe the food. Maybe there's food on the table. Maybe you brought food to the table and everybody's eating. You can talk about whether the food is good. You can talk about the facility. Maybe it's a really nice restaurant and you've never been to it, and you can ask questions if other people have been there or not.
Right.
And if you're really grabbing at straws for something to talk to, you can always talk about the weather. You can always talk about traffic.
Sure.
We're in California, and you can always talk about the traffic. And I know that sounds trite, but you're just throwing something out there to kind of get the conversation going, something safe to get the conversation going. And you'll find that it gets easier and easier. Talk about the benefits of the organization that's sponsoring the event. If it's a chamber event, and you either know about the benefits of being a chamber member or you'd like to know about the benefits of being a chamber member. That's a great starter for conversations.
Great.
Just make sure you're always upbeat. Make sure you're always positive. Ask questions. Questions are always good. And you can I think they're easy to think of, but, if you're at a chamber event, you can say, are you a chamber member? How long have you been a member? Are you really active? Are you really involved? Do you get to go to a lot of meetings? There's just so many questions you can ask at any kind of a networking event. And then as you listen to answers, you can disclose some personal information, tell a fun story, and something that makes you relatable to the person sitting next to you or to the whole table. But always have those stories ready.
Yes. And you also mentioned about food. Eating at events makes me very nervous because I might spill something, or there may be food that is difficult to eat and makes a mess. I'm also careful about what I order and don't want to eat anything that has any strong smells like garlic or onions unless everyone else is having the same thing. Then there may be alcohol involved. Do you say yes? Do you say no? What do you do?
Well, you've kind of answered your own question about the garlic and onions. If everybody else is eating them, then it doesn't matter. If nobody's eating them, well, then you might want to stay away from them.
True.
Yeah, but food, it can be a tricky thing. Keep in mind that we all know ourselves. You know yourself. You know your likes, your dislikes. You know what you can eat, what you can't eat. And you probably know how to pace yourself when you are eating. Just go with your gut. No pun intended. Ha ha ha. One way to make yourself more comfortable is to go on YouTube and look at some dining etiquette suggestions. We all spill food on ourselves. We all sometimes drop something off the plate, or something flies off the plate even. It happens to everybody, and I think everybody understands that. The best thing to do, I think, if food flies off the plate, is make a joke about it. Don't get defensive, and don't even get embarrassed. Just kind of make a joke about it. Apologize and make a joke about it, and pray it doesn't hit anybody.
Right? Just
Just
go with it.
Just go with it. Alcohol can also be a pretty tricky situation. If you work for a company that does not allow you to drink when you go to networking events, you must go along with that policy. It also kind of makes it easy to explain to other people why you're not accepting a drink or why you're not drinking,
right,
when you have a policy that you have to follow. If you're networking on your own, you really do have to go with what you know about yourself, what your limits are, what your behavior is. Do I act like this with one drink? Maybe I better not have any. Can I get away and have two? And then do I start acting, a little louder and a little more rambunctious? Well, maybe I better stick to one. You have to know yourself. You might also want to look around the room to see if everyone has a drink and determine which is the best way to go. And it might be to go with the flow, hold on to a drink for the whole evening, and just sip it slowly. Because you don't want to be determined as being unsocial if everyone else is drinking, so it just kind of helps you fit in a little bit more. I actually was in a situation like that at a chamber.
Really?
It was actually at a chamber thing.
Do tell.
And I wasn't going to drink. I just didn't drink that much then. But somebody said to me, well, you gotta have a drink. Everybody's drinking.
Oh, boy.
So, I ordered a glass of wine because I didn't want to look unsocial.
Sure.
And it actually did kind of ease some of the flow of, being with the other people, because it just made me look like I fit in more.
Right, right. Good point. Do you have some golden rules that you might want to share with our listeners?
Oh, of course. And I call them my don'ts and my do's.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put the hard sell on others. That's not what you're there for. You're there to build relationships. Don't promise to do something and then not follow through. That's not going to help you build relationships.
Not at all.
Don't complain. Don't complain or be negative about anything. And then my do's are, do look for contacts, not a card collection. Do look for people you can help. And do look for people who can help you. It's all about the relationship building.
That's great thing about relationship building is that it is something we already do. All of us have relationships that we have built over the years. We have done this before and already have the skills to do so again. I liked your philosophy of just go out and meet interesting people, find things in common, and make connections. Personally, I like what you said about reminding yourself that, other people are at this event there to network too, so why not join the party?
Right.
Most people are welcoming, and they look forward to having someone who is interested in talking to them. So any last tips and encouraging words?
I kind of want to go back to something you said. Join the party. We're sitting here, we talked about networking for introverts. We're talking about how to work the room. And I know it's difficult for some people, but I really do think once you get there, after you've talked yourself into it, you've prepared for it, you're there and you've started conversations, you might just find that you're having a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Right. And so just go with it. But while you're having that fun, remember that professionalism is the key to everything.
Absolutely.
Yes. Whether it's yourself or you're representing a company or you're looking for a job, professionalism is always the key. Be in control of yourself, your behavior. You're there to establish rapport. Do that. Learn something new. Look for something that you can learn new. Maybe make that a goal. Show business acumen. And that might just be a whole new podcast topic.
It may.
Because it is really important, especially when you're in business situations. Mm-hmm. Stick to business. Have a good time, but stick to the business of the goals of why you're there. And make others comfortable. Especially when you're feeling uncomfortable, it'll make you feel really good to make somebody else feel comfortable. And it might just make it easier for you to go to the next networking event. Show self-confidence. Be knowledgeable. Not a know-it-all, but knowledgeable. That's a lot to do with your preparation work. And remember that everyone has something to offer, and you're really looking for that.
Right.
And remember Emily Post.
Ah, yes, Emily Post, the original Miss Manners. It is important to know your business etiquette. And one thing I might add to that is please silence your cell phone.
Definitely.
Oh, it's embarrassing to be in the middle of an introduction and hearing your phone ring at the same time. This might be normal for some people, but I feel more confident about myself when I can give the other person my undivided attention. To me, doing so just shows respect. If my phone is really that important, I can take a moment to check it in the bathroom or in the lobby, someplace where I have some privacy.
Actually, you know what I do?
What's that?
I leave my phone in the car when I go to networking events.
That's even better.
I do.
Absolutely, yes.
Check it when you get back there.
Right. I love that. Well, thank you. This concludes our How to Work a Room podcast. Remember to just have fun, meet new people, and learn something new every time.
Thank you, Tammy. This has been great.
Thank you for listening to On the Go with Selaco. If you've enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. You can also download our app, available for free on Google Play and the Mac App Store. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.